Thank you very much. You're asking me about ESG. That's a very good question, I must say. Well, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance issues. Well, it's a set of criteria, I must say, that is used to evaluate a company's operations, practices, and impact beyond the traditional measures of the performance of a company, what you might call the financial metrics that are traditionally used to evaluate. Now, evaluation of companies is now based on ESG criteria. Now, these three pillars, they guide investors, they guide businesses or stakeholders, in order to assess how a company manages its responsibilities towards the environment, social issues, and governance structures. So let's try to interrogate these three pillars. When it comes to environmental issues, it refers to how a company performs in terms of responsibility and environmental impact. And majorly, the components or elements of the environment includes issues around carbon emissions, climate change policies, energy use and waste management, resource conservation, and then of course pollution control. You can also add to that the issue of biodiversity. When it comes to social issues, the social issues focuses more on a company's relationships with its stakeholders. And here we're talking about the employees, the suppliers, the customers, and the community at large. And the core elements of the social pillar has to do with labor practices of a company and working conditions, diversity, equity, and inclusion, human rights, community engagement, and then of course customer satisfaction. And finally, when it comes to governance issues, it refers to the internal system or practices of a company, the control mechanisms, the procedures that a company uses to govern itself, to make decisions and align with all shareholder interest. Some of the elements of the governance component has to do with the board composition and diversity. Then, of course, issues of executive composition, transparency and ethical practices, shareholder rights, and then, of course, anti-corruption practices. I must say that ESG has become very, topical and is gaining, importance across the globe because many investors and consumers are becoming more conscious of the broader impact businesses have on the world. So companies with strong ESG practices and performance may be seen as more sustainable in the long run, and that they're also seen as being better managed and the less risky in the longer term. But I must say that there's a very strong move to try to to connect ESG with GRC, but that's a subject for another day. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you once again.